Big Country Politics on KTAB continues.
Okay, welcome back to Big Country Politics. We are talking to Taylor County District Attorney James Hicks about the problem of overcrowding at the jail. Like you said, this is always a problem. A population is always a problem. We were probably here last year talking about the same thing around budget time, but for a whole different reason. You are wanting to move misdemeanors through there, or non-violent criminals through there. That way we can keep the violent criminals in, right? I mean, you guys are kind of hoping to speed up that process.
We've taken a look at what is populating the jail. In reviewing the general population of the jail, there are some cases where there are individuals over at the jail that are not violent offenders. They may be low risk drug offenders. They may be marijuana offenders. As you know, the state of Texas is having a real difficult time right now deciding what legal marijuana is from illegal, legal hemp is from illegal marijuana. We have looked at that, and the numbers are disproportionate as to the violent offenders. We need to make sure we always control and know where the violent offenders are. And if I have the ability to free up a jail cell from somebody that may have a Class B misdemeanor, as opposed to somebody that has a victim crime, a violent crime, a domestic relation, I'm going to want the latter of the two incarcerated. And we've made a huge change in moving those situations to where the sheriff has the opportunity to keep those. And one of the big problems when we did our informal assessment in the office was it's not necessarily just in-county inmates, because in-county inmates are a problem in and of themselves, but you start looking at the money that the county is paying to other county facilities to house our inmates in other counties, you would be astounded. Ask any commissioner. I'm sure they can tell you right off the bat every month how much they spend on out-of-county inmates. And one of those situations is not necessarily letting anybody get away with crime. We're not going to do that. But if they have a crime in Nolan County, and they have a crime here, and they have two crimes in Sweetwater, instead of holding them over and making them go the route of 3 different courts, I call the Nolan County DA, or I call the Jones County DA, and I say, hey guys, let's work ours together in one court. Let's send them where they need to be, and they never end up in Taylor County. It's made a huge difference.
There is not only the problem of population, but you've mentioned money. That there's a problem with or potential problem with money, because the state is not paying the county to house those inmates that should be in Texas prisons.
Well,
right?
And I couldn't speak to that. I heard that for the first time in Commissioner's Court. It's my understanding that there's a distinction. There's a distinction between pretrial felons and paper-ready TDC inmates, okay? TDC inmates have been convicted of a crime and sentenced to go off. It's my understanding that once that division is done, once my assistants, my prosecutors, finish their job, and that person no longer is an obligation of Taylor County, but is an obligation of the state of Texas and the prison systems. The prison system is supposed to pay for that individual. That's correct. Now, whether they are or not, I don't know, but I can tell you I've got a whole lot of attorneys that work very diligently into making that transition happen so that the county is not picking up a needless charge every day for an inmate that's prison bound.
When you guys, well, first of all, let me ask, you guys have written letters to the state, to the parole board.
We have.
And what what was in that? What are you asking for? What's the solution really?
It's not really asking for a solution. It's asking for advice. I mean, we call or reach out and say, hey, is there a way we can expedite this? Can we help you? And parole, the jail, and the DA's office has always been able to communicate between the three. No one expected us to be across the street from each other and not be able to see each other face to face. No one could expect the pandemic. But the real problem is that there were so many unexpected things that took place. It's not anybody's fault.
Sure.
It's just a matter of getting over the humps in the road and smoothing out the system.
How long, and my last question for you, how long can Taylor County do this for without it becoming a problem out at the jail?
I don't know. I think the sheriff would echo my sentiment when I am extremely hopeful that mid-July TDC opens their doors to inmates. It sometimes concerns me when they say with restrictions. You don't know what those health restrictions, COVID connection, whatever the restrictions may be. But we're going to do our job. We're going to make sure that justice is served. We're going to try our very best to make sure there's always an inmate capability of intake if we have inmates that need to be over there. But the simple fact of the matter is, I don't foresee Taylor County ever waving the white flag and saying, we can't take any more. We're not going to do that. We'll find some place to put individuals that don't know how to behave. But the simple fact of the matter is, we sure need some help from the other agencies.
Taylor County District Attorney James Hicks, thank you for being on the show.
You bet.
All right, we'll be back on Big Country Politics.